Well, well, well. If it isn't the froggy, the fox, and the bird thing.
Wait a second, bird thing? I told you, Wolf, I'm a goddamn...
Be cool, Fally. I know how to deal with these bozos. Oh, really? So, McCloud, can you shoot the very stars from the sky? No! Such is Star Wolf. Oh, wait, Star what?
This video from 2010 serves as both a massive nostalgia trip for myself and the official mark of my discovering of one of the most interesting, ambitious, and inspiring fan projects that I have ever seen. This, my fine friends, is a fox in space.
Fox! Ah! Heroes we are!
As a preface, I gotta say that Star Fox is one of my all-time favorite video game series, and my personal favorite Nintendo IP. I realize that's a bit of an outlier opinion, as most love Nintendo's other, much more popular IPs like that of Mario, Legend of Zelda, Kirby, Pokemon, and the like. But there has always been something about this series that from a very young age has just really grabbed me and even inspired me in more ways than I could briefly discuss here. Nonetheless, I was one of the lucky few all the way back in 2010 to have first seen this little animation by the talented Matthew Gafford, also known as Frederick Fox. I remember at the given time I had been starved for more Star Fox games with how obsessed I was with the series, and thus found a great enjoyment watching fan animations, looking at fan art on DeviantArt, and even admittingly reading fan fiction. Hey, don't judge me. I'm sure we all did that over something, right? One of the fan animations I remember in particular was called Star Fox Misadventures, a super crudely drawn cartoon about Fox being annoyed by Prince Tricky from Star Fox Adventures. Looking at this now, it hasn't aged very well, but for what it's worth, I used to eat this shit up whenever I was a kid. I also remember this one entitled Barrel Roll, which just sort of runs the barrel roll meme at the time into the ground. To be fair, most fan animations in the times of Newgrounds and early YouTube maybe haven't aged super well by whatever today's standards are, but I still find something charming about them all the same. It brings me back to those early years of internet content creation, and I just always find something that a fan created out of love and passion for said thing is always just really inspiring. Anyway, going back to this Star Wolf video, I remember being taken aback by something I saw in the description of that said video at the time. That this wasn't just a mere fan animation, but it was going to be a preview of a Star Fox animated series that this guy was going to make. Well, you could imagine being the kind of kid I was immensely excited for this. I had never thought of someone making a whole series by themselves like that even being a thing. Most internet series that I did know about back at the time were stuff like The Angry Video Game Nerd or Nostalgia Critic, but a fully animated series online was something that just blew my mind. I remember I would check back from time to time watching as new little short clips came out from the series, usually with Fox and Falco just talking, but showcasing the sort of comedic chemistry that Matt was going for with the two, or the various pieces of music that he put out that I was again surprised to hear he composed completely by himself to be the soundtrack of the show. But I suppose at some point I'd sort of grown out of Star Fox for a short while. Being obsessed with something as a kid and getting involved with said thing's online community is kind of bound to have you do that after a while. Perhaps those dark tales are worth a video for another day, but in spite of me growing away from Star Fox for a bit, I would still always make sure to follow Matt and his Star Fox cartoon project. Through the years, I've come to see maybe hundreds of fan projects such as fan games, comics, animations, movies, you name it, all fall apart at some point or another. If we were lucky, maybe picking up some of the shattered pieces of said projects to at least see what could have been. But most just are sort of forgotten and lost to time. Tiny pieces of internet history history that are just mere fragments in a far bigger piece than it could have been. And yet, whereas most fan projects would have died off by now, perhaps so many of their creators also too growing out of their own projects, Matt continued to keep updating his project. And as I grew older into an adult, something sort of magical happened as I watched the show evolve and shape into the final product that it would become. Quick tangent though. Matthew Gafford, also known as I said, Frederick Fox, had made a name for himself on the internet back in the day through his live journal and internet videos, which had peaked around the time when Eric Bauman of eBaum's World posted a compilation of Matt's clips to his website. He quickly became a celebrity on the internet due to the popularity of the videos posted on eBaum's World and Albino Black Sheep, of which he performs random skits and uses a variety of editing techniques unheard of at the time, many of which many other popular internet personalities would come to use, especially early YouTubers. Due to this, many consider Matt to be one of the most influential internet celebrities and overall personalities as a whole of all time. Perhaps a more underground one by some terms, but still quite influential. While I never knew Matt for these videos, I found it really interesting all the same, and looking back at them now, I can really see some little pieces of the man's sense of humor and creativity showing through even all the way back then, even though these are clearly videos of a different time. But pushing back to the topic at hand, as I grew older and my tastes evolved, the one consistent thing I found was that I was and still am always drawn back to animation. 2D animation to be exact, be it through anime or my deep dive into old 70s and 80s cult animated films. I just can't get enough of it. And I also cannot get enough of fan projects or just people who I can tell really put a lot of hard work and effort into their online content. And I think I started to realize the reason I had continued to follow Matt's Star Fox cartoon even after taking a prolonged break from Star Fox. It was because I admired him. One man putting all his talent into a cartoon, composing its soundtrack, voicing it, writing it. The man just seemed like an enigma, a true renaissance man of the internet. It even made me question, with all these talents, why he had continued to work on a Star Fox cartoon when clearly he could be doing his own at this point. But in that line of questioning, I suddenly found myself looking back to some of the old stuff that I liked or even loved from before, perhaps admittingly grasping at the threads of my childhood as I came into that development of growing into a full-on adult and leaving my childhood behind. And it was around this time I started noticing the final evolution of Matt's Star Fox cartoon and the deeper details of his animation style as the first episode came close to release. Looking at the dark yet comedic show it was becoming, in contrast with the older style back when the show was originally going to be a musical. And then, come April 25th of 2016, and the first episode of this project was finally released. Looking at the first episode of A Fox in Space, the title Matt would settle on when Nintendo started threatening over his Patreon account, is one of the most inspiring things I have ever seen. I obviously advocate you go watch the episode in full on YouTube right now before I even spoil anything about it. Links in the descriptions down below. But, just going over the basic details, the animation is quite simply amazing. It's amazing because of a few distinct style choices. The animation style seems to be heavily inspired by 80s cult animated films, like the works of Ralph Bakshi, who has been known for his films like Wizards, Fire and Ice, Fritz the Cat, and even the original Lord of the Ring adaptations. The style has this naturally dirty and old look about it, mainly because these cult films didn't have the same budget as the works of Walt Disney and the like back then, so a lot of new animation techniques and innovation had to come from Bakshi's lack of funds. Creativity is truly birthed in limitations, and how poetic really. That same mindset is still used by early internet content creators like Matt, and hell, even within this show, Matt has had to voice every character, compose every track, animate every frame of animation, write every piece of dialogue, and the man continues to learn new techniques to this day, such as Blender. Through Matt's limitation of being literally one guy creating an entire show, and never wanting to sacrifice on quality at any point, it's through his limitations that he showcases his utmost creativity. This also connects back into the very series Matt's making a cartoon about. The OG SNES Star Fox games were some of the very first 3D games ever made, and thus had to work within the limitations of its times. To some, they may see these old graphics and say, wow, that kinda looks like garbage. But to me, I see this dance between an old technology of paper origami-like planes and 3D objects mixed with the trippy and wild backgrounds of the planet she'll be fighting on as this beautiful mix of something that, yes, while dated, is still without a doubt, still very artistic and interesting to this day. The show also has a strong sense of atmosphere in a musical, visual, and writing sense. It's sort of laid back with a mix of dry and dark humor that makes it feel like a perfect fit for a late night showing on Adult Swim. It's also completely different in a visual sense from damn near every other online animator I can personally think of. Many animators here in the YouTube space have a much more clean, simplistic, and even cutesy style about them that visually makes them pop out of the screen. Now, this isn't a dig against any of those styles, I quite like them in fact, but I will say that something about a Fox in Space appeals to me in a totally different way. The lines aren't even, the animation twitches in and out. There are a few film scratches and flecks on the screen at every moment, and there is an old VHS film overlay to both the video and audio that distorts it and sort of pulls me into those times and makes me seriously want to give this thing a watch on a CRTV. There's also a strong use of lighting in the show that washes over the characters in bright oranges, blues, purples, and reds that perfectly complements the atmosphere and even the characters there in the light. Sometimes even painting the black outlines of the characters in a way that might seem amateurish to an untrained eye, but in truth is entirely intentional to the overall style. Beyond just the visuals, I also must say that I love the portrayal of the characters as well. Matt does an excellent job of not only taking the core elements of what makes these characters so lovable in the games and expanding upon them to make them his own, but also does a great job voicing damn near every one of them. I have always been a huge fan of Wolf O'Donnell from the Star Fox series, and Matt's interpretation of Wolf is just so damn funny, lovable, and cheeky that I honestly will never see the character the same way again, and I almost kinda wish that Nintendo would just hire Matt to voice Wolf from now on.
No shit.
See? I told you he was Star Fox.
Oh, for God's sake. My name is Fox McCloud. Star Fox is my team, not my name.
Everything is just fine. I've got it all under control. Just recommence with the festivities.
Can we get a petition started for this shit or what? The first episode of A Fox in Space is truly the product of a very talented guy, of whom, through his hard work, passion, and overall work ethic, inspires me immensely. He's currently working on episode 2, and from what we've seen of episode 2, from clip previews as well as a live stream where Matt shared the overall project as it stands, sporting a 26 to 28 minute runtime this time, double what the first episode runs. Matt has a few new voices to help him out now as well. I overall can't wait to see where this series goes, but also where Matt goes as a creator as a whole. I still a few times every month check back on Matt's Twitch channel to watch him animate bit by bit while I work on something myself, which I would also recommend checking out to see the process of a show being made like this. literally frame by frame. Matt's a fun guy to listen to and watch in the background, I guess you could say, and I really appreciate him showing the process because it's also helped me sort of understand the process of animation more, which is someone who kind of wants to dabble in that a little bit here and there, I always find very interesting. I said before that I was wondering why he would choose to focus all his talent on this Star Fox cartoon rather than make his own original cartoon. But see, that's just the thing. This is his original cartoon. I think it's so fitting that this show had to be retitled A Fox in Space, because Matt has made these characters his own. He's far overpassed what the originals were, and this is also more than a man making a mere fan project. It's someone who is creating a childhood dream project, something most of us dream about but never have the talent or the means or willpower to go through with. A Fox in Space is uniquely a Matthew Gafford vision, and I can say with full honesty that I think that might be what inspires me the most about A Fox in Space, why I have chosen to follow it for so long, and why it continues to this day to inspire me as a creator, and why I made this video as an ultimate tribute to the series and Matthew Gafford as a whole. No matter what you make or create as a content creator of any kind, be it a fan project or an original work, I think you should always put your all into it. Because if you're creating something, no matter how simple or complex, it's at least worth all that you can put into it. And I think, without a doubt, Matthew has certainly put all that he can and more into A Fox in Space. So with that, I hope that you all go watch A Fox in Space if you haven't already. And for those of you who already have, comment down below and let me know what you like about Fox in Space. Or, alternatively, also tell me if there's a fan project or something out there that has inspired you in a similar way that A Fox in Space has inspired me. I love hearing from you guys and might be interested in doing more videos like these on other fan projects or internet content creators that are inspiring in some way. Throw out some positive vibes, if you know what I mean. But until next time, this has been Dylan the Night Owl, flying off.
We bad with applause. We bad with applause. We bad. We tough. When it comes to fighting, we can't get enough. Better run on to your mom and your dad, 'cause we tough. We bad with applause. We tough.
We're gonna fight.
We mean.
We're gonna hang
We
on.
like to keep our
No cats are
territory
gonna
clean.
push us around.
If you step across the line, you're